I tell you what I want, what I really, really want. What I really, really want is a massive, glorious dollop of fantastic autumnal natural history.
It may be our final show, but we're going to spice it up because we've got...
Batty Spice!
Boxy Spice.
Bunny Spice.
Old Spice. Welcome to Autumn Watch.
Zigga zig.
Hello and welcome to Autumn Watch 2017. Very sadly, the last show of the year. Coming to you live from the National Trust Sherborne Park Estate up here in Gloucestershire. Now, our mission, as ever, is to bring you the very best of British wildlife throughout the course of the week. And we've started our shows with a mouse, an obscured badger. But let's go live now to a brown rat. Oh, yes.
The tail of a brown rat, even.
Now, look, let's not diss the rat. I know it's a non-native species, but we've got to agree that they are an important part of our ecosystems here in the UK now because so many things eat them. Foxes, owls, buzzards, polecats, all of these other animals have become dependent upon them. I know they're not popular. They did spread the plague, but it was a long time ago.
We've got to forgive
and
them.
Forget is what I always say. It's not all about rats, though. During the daytime, we've been watching one of the animals that might feed on them, our barn owls. Now, this is the pair that were breeding here in springtime. They've been roosting just outside the nesting box that they used, fledged all three of their youngsters, and these are definitely the adults. The youngsters were ringed. Neither of these birds has a ring. And they've been spending most of their day ensuring their feathers are in tip-top condition for hunting at night. But Michaela, look at that one on the left there. When it turns around, you'll see there's a small feather sticking out of its face, that little barb of white. That's one of its stiff ear feathers that it's molting.
Oh, look, is it lifting its head up? There we go.
There it is, there, yeah.
I love that. I find that really relaxing to watch. And I love all the texture and the colour as well. It's the sort of thing that I'd love to just put up on my wall above my desk in my office and then just every time I'm stressed, just look at it and I think all the stress would disappear.
Yeah.
I'm not selling that to you, am I, at all? In fact, it's better to go out and go for a walk, as we said a couple of days ago. That'll get rid of the stress. OK, let's try another one of our live cameras. I've got to be honest, we've not been terribly successful, have we, with our live cameras? Exactly, we've not been terribly successful. So let's go to a live camera now. This is our garden cam. And look at that, it's a bunch of apples.
Well, you say that. Hold on a moment. There's a slug on one of them there.
How exciting is that?
That's a slug. Live on BBC Two and Michaela Strachan. That's what we pay our licence fee for.
Yep. A slug on an apple. I think we could do better than that because we have had a lot of action on that camera. Yesterday we had a tawny owl. The tawny owl was back last night, perched on his favourite perch, which is the top of our camera. It's interesting because then we started to rotate the camera and the owl took absolutely no notice, was completely chilled. But this sort of reminds me a bit of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and the doll on the music box. Because look at it now, you know, what can you see, you people staring at me? You see an owl on a music box that turns like a key. Anyway, moving on. Look, this badger. Now, this might look like any old badger going to get some apples and chomp on them. But this is a comedy badger, Chris, because just stop and listen. Brilliant. I mean, that is just like someone eating an apple right by your ear. I find it highly irritating.
Yeah. Or munching cornflakes first thing in the morning in a hotel, sat opposite you.
Popcorn right next to you. Just listen again. And I promise you, this is the noise it was making. It's absolutely brilliant. Listen. So don't give me worms on apples, Chris, because a munching badger making a heck of a noise, that's what you pay your licence fee for.
It's such a happy badger, isn't it? Such a happy
It's brilliant.
badger.
I love that. I think that's my highlight of the series.
It certainly is. Martin.
Chris, I am down here on the Sherborne Brook, and the brook runs into the Windrush the Windrush River. Very wind in the willows. It's a beautiful place down here, and in fact it's here that we've had an unexpected lot of wildlife throughout the whole of Autumn Watch. And now if we've got a live camera, the thermal camera, looking up the river, that's the way. Let's go live to that camera and see what we can see. Now, you can see the birds there, but flitting around above the birds, what do you think they are? They're bats. They're probably Dorbenton's bats fishing. That's live now, but we have seen something very interesting just a few minutes ago up there. Here are the bats, a lot more bats, and then we saw this, an owl, a tawny owl, and it actually comes down and I think it's trying to hunt the bats. Now that is an amazing thing. I never dreamt that tawny owls would hunt bats live. So there we go, the thermal camera reveals another bit of interesting natural history. Now during the day, this brook is home to one of our most beautiful little birds. It's a grey wagtail. And the grey wagtail is nearly always found, in summer anyway, near a river. You can just see it down there on the right-hand side, wagging its. Look at that beautiful lemon yellow bottom. I don't know why it's called the grey wagtail, it's gorgeous. And here it is, feeding on crustaceans and larvae in the water, very typical behaviour. I actually saw them nesting down here in Springwatch, but it doesn't just feed on crustaceans. Look at this in slow motion. Look at the agility of the grey wagtail. It leaps up, plucking insects out of the air. It's lovely to see it, so graceful. You can turn on a sixpence there. So that's the grey wagtail. But also down here, also at Sherborne, we've got another sort of wagtail, the pied wagtail. Now the pied wagtails are less sort of exciting, they're more sort of black and white. But what they'll do is they'll migrate from here into our towns and cities. And quite often, right in the middle of cities, you might find a wagtail, a pied wagtail roost. I found one in the middle of Bristol. It's fascinating to watch. And you may sometimes see a grey wagtail as well, mixed in with the pied wagtails. Something to look out for. Now let's go down. Most of the exciting stuff with that log, with the rats and the tawny owl, it all takes place about 20 metres down from where I am now. Let's go live to it and see if anything's going on now. Anything going on? Few bats again, probably those Dorbentons with their big hairy feet, adapted to plucking insects off the top, but it's very quiet. Unlike last night, something very extraordinary happened there. Here we are, same camera, look at this. It's a deer, obviously, and look at that upside down black horseshoe on its bottom. That tells you it's a fallow deer doe, coming in there, probably having a bit of a drink, and just, these would have been about 20 metres from where I'm standing now. These super secretive deer, lovely to see. This camera's shown us all sorts of things that we didn't expect down here. Just see its legs there. And remember, this is all in the pitch darkness. Do you see that deer just jump out? It's pitch black. How did it know where to jump? Obviously, it knew its route around. Now, earlier in the year, I went to a thing called the Bird Fair. It's sort of big gathering of people who are interested in, obviously, birds and naturalists generally. And one of my favourite bits is the art tents. They've got these tents full of artists, and the way people interpret the natural world is fascinating. And I went past one little bit of this and I was rooted to the spot. It was so beautiful, these delicate pictures of insects. And I went in and I got chatting to the bloke, who's called Richard. It turned out we were making a film about him.
My name's Richard Lewington and I'm a wildlife illustrator, specialising mostly in insects, invertebrates, butterflies, moths, dragonflies, and anything that crawls and flies, I do them. From a very early age, I used to go out with my dad looking at birds and butterflies, and then I would immediately, as soon as I got home, I would start painting them and drawing them and sketching them.
My name's Ian Lewington. I'm a bird illustrator. I illustrate field guides. The passion for illustrating and birds was kindled by my father at a very young age. The age of 4, he used to take me out on nature walks, and I just gravitated towards birds. Was inspired by my brother, who was already a professional illustrator, and I watched him and thought, well, that seems a pretty good job. I'll have a go at doing that.
We both do our own thing and we don't cross paths. I would never take on a book on birds and he wouldn't do one on insects, I don't think.
The interest in birds was first. If I was interested in trains, I would have drawn trains, but I automatically wanted to draw what I was interested in. My earliest memory of my brother illustrating, well, it was me. I used to annoy him. He used to paint on our dining table while he was attempting to do something very detailed at one end of the table. I'd be at the other end, giving a little jog just to be an annoying little younger brother.
He used to irritate me and he doesn't anymore.
So you really need to see the bird in the field to produce something that's a good representation of the species. Just the process of attempting to draw something in the field makes you look harder and makes you a better observer.
When I decide on a painting or an illustration, I usually try and accumulate as many references as I can. So if I've caught something interesting in the moth trap, if I can take that into my room and paint it from life, that's the best thing. To actually have a specimen in front of you to put under a microscope and count how many hairs it's got on the tips of its antennae or whatever it is, it's always better to have that reference. I think the basics when you're painting something is texture, form and colour, and using those three things you can really describe your subjects perfectly. If you take a ladybird, which is shiny and almost metallic in some cases, creating those highlights and that form compared to a dragonfly with its very detailed wing venation or a moth with its dusty wings, you can kind of create textures and three dimensions when you're illustrating.
I think I've always been obsessed with being accurate in all ways. And you know, as I matured as a painter and illustrator and learnt more about the anatomy of birds and how different feather tracts acted, the need to be accurate just grew. I think the most difficult to actually physically paint are the iridescences of things like kingfishers. That's created by combining contrasts. I find birds with long necks and long legs, they're hardest to get at different proportions. Small little passerines that are round, they're a lot easier. Yeah, my brother was certainly inspirational to me. As I grew up, I regarded illustrating for book publication as a normal job. You know, shall I become a policeman or a fireman or a plumber or an illustrator? It was normal. I didn't realise it was such a specialised and unique and sort of quite unusual occupation.
Ian tells me I was his inspiration, but I don't know whether he's just saying that because he's my younger brother and he's scared of me, but I believe him, but he also inspires me. Some of the things I see of his are absolutely incredible, and I couldn't do them. I wouldn't want to try.
I don't consider myself an artist because that implies some sort of imagination, which I don't think I have any, so art is subjective. I consider myself an illustrator because I'm just trying to reproduce precisely what's there in front of me with nothing of me in it. I'll never perfect nature. I'm trying to get there as far as I can, but no, that's an impossibility. Nature's perfect.
Not an artist, I beg to differ there. If I had just a little ounce of that artistic talent, that's extraordinary.
I know. And I've been looking at, their work all of my life. I've got this book here. This is an old field guide that I've got to Butterflies of Europe, which Richard illustrated. I poured through the first edition of this in 1981, enjoying all of his work. Fantastic
You'll
stuff.
never look at an ID book again, will you, in the same way, because you take them for granted, those pictures, and so much work and effort and talent has gone into every single one. Fantastic.
Now, if you've been watching this week, you'll know that we invited you to take part in a very important piece of citizen science, Seabird Watch. We know our seabirds are in trouble and censusing them can be really difficult. So we asked you to go online and count seabirds on no less than 61,000 photographs which are posted on a website there. You've done quite well. I was a bit disappointed last night with your endeavours, but tonight I can champion them because I can tell you that 162,430 clicks on 37,068 birds have been performed by 16,693 people. The UK data, those photographs that were taken in the UK, is 85% complete, and overall the whole set is now 58%. Not long to go. And some top performers here deserving credit: Francis C, 698 classifications, Marie Hannah Cohen, 484, Sue SJS 13, 394. Let's hear it for them. Top work. Of course, there's still more work to be done, Michaela.
Congratulations to this lot as well. Look at this, Chris. I mean, doesn't that warm the cockles of your heart? That's Tapton School in Sheffield. The whole school got involved.
The whole school?
The whole school was clicking away. That is a teacher that loves wildlife. Well done. We salute that.
That is absolutely fantastic. And best thing of all is it's actually generating meaningful data. And I've got some of that data here. So this is data that's been produced from your analysis this week. And this shows the peak of kittiwakes arriving at a colony in Ireland. So you can see that in the early part of the year, hardly any birds there. Then they all gradually arrive on the cliff and then they leave at this time. The blue are the guillemots. What's interesting is, look, during the midwinter period, some of the kittiwakes appear to come back to the colony. I wonder what they're doing that for. And if I spin over, you can see it more clearly here, and you can see how those kittiwakes build their numbers to this, the peak of the season, and they drift off. Whereas the guillemots here, look, hardly any. All of a sudden they're there on the cliffs, and then all of a sudden they're all gone. And again with that winter peak. And it's just this sort of data that's going to allow us to better inform our conservation efforts when it comes to these birds. 42% left. Come on, you can do it by the end of the week. Check out our website, bbc.co.uk/autumnwatch, Seabird Watch. Thank you very much.
Do you know, Chris, a lot of people are very upset when the show finishes, aren't they? They say it's only on for 4 nights. Well, tomorrow night, that's what you've got to do between 8 and 9. Get on the website and do clicky, clicky, clicky.
Exactly.
Earlier on in the week, Gillian was in Bournemouth and she was testing out urban foxes and their intelligence. Well, she's with us tonight to give us a little update.
Well, yeah, if you were watching earlier in the week, you would have seen that we ran an experiment to test the problem-solving skills and intelligence of urban foxes. A few of the foxes engaged with our Foxbox experiment, but there was one standout performer, Teardrop.
Phase 1. Would he even approach the experiment? Within hours, he quickly overcame his fear. Phase 2. He learned to pull a string to get a tasty reward. Again and again. Phase 3. 2 strings, but only 1 reward. A problem he was soon solving 100% of the time.
What do you reckon, Chris?
Oh, well, that was great stuff, wasn't it? I've been enjoying the work that you've been doing down there, I've
Such a
got
lovely
to
fox.
say. Before we move on, we've got a live fox at the moment. I think we can cut to it. Let's have a look. Oh, it's just gone. It's just gone. And isn't that the story of our lives? So let's move on from where we started. Teardrop, then. Teardrop was obviously the star of the show. Why was it that particular fox, do you think?
Well, it's a good question. Teardrop, we think, is a male born this spring, a sub-adult. And one of the things that happens at this time of the year in the autumn is that the sub-adults start to disperse. They start to leave their natal territories. And the males especially leave. The females will sometimes stay, but the males are the ones that go out in the world and they need to be bold, they need to be curious. So these are the characteristics that Teardrop showed. So this is why we think Teardrop was a male and why he did so well with this experiment. The other thing that was interesting to know is none of the adults engaged with this experiment. Now, adults, you'd expect, they're set in their ways, whereas the sub-adults, like teenagers, are going to be more curious, more experimental. So as we started to build the complexity of the tests that we gave Teardrop, what was amazing is he kept up. But it was interesting, as we got to the final phase of the experiment, the cross strings, this is something dogs can't do, we wondered whether Teardrop would cope. So let's see what happened. So here's a cross string experiment. And you see him give it a go there. He pulls at the string like he has been doing through the whole experiment, but he pulls at the wrong string and doesn't get his food reward. He's back again. He tugs at the string, goes to the jam jar lid where the chicken would always be, but it's not there. Then something really interesting happens. He goes past our cross, he bypasses the cross and pulls at the right string, gets his reward, and then does it again and gets his reward. Absolutely amazing. I mean, we were really excited by this because he didn't solve the experiment the way we thought he would.
No.
He did it his way.
Yeah, he kind of used ingenuity, actually.
It was amazing. But we observed for several days after this, and the more we watched him do this, the more we had to ask ourselves, was he actually learning? Let's see what happened next. So here he comes again. He's bypassed that cross. That's what he's decided he's going to do each time. But it's not the right string. Here he comes again. Does he get it right? And again, no, he doesn't. And the more he tries, again, the wrong string. And really, by this point, you just see he gets really frustrated with this experiment. And he trashes our
I know exactly how he
Foxbox.
feels. I get frustrated with certain computer games and they end up on the floor like that when I can't get past level 27 or something.
We'll talk about level 27. He had 17 attempts at this, and he failed 12 times. The last 9 attempts, he failed 8 times. So at this final phase of our experiment, the cross strings, we sort of had to accept that it looked like he wasn't learning.
It's a bridge too far.
A bridge
For
too far,
Teardrop.
a step too far.
And
yeah.
we were interested to know whether the fox might be more intelligent, if you like, than the dog, because we know that dogs can't do this.
That's
We do know there's some evidence from wild canids that they are brighter. Dingoes, for instance, are better at solving a second stage trial than dogs. So effectively, if you teach your dog to solve a puzzle and it solves it, and then you enhance the puzzle so it can't solve it, instead of trying it, it will turn and look to you, because dogs have evolved to look to us to help them, whereas dingoes, wild canids in Australia, still have to solve the problem themselves. And we know as well that dogs can't use lateral thinking, so they can learn a solution, but what they then can't do is use that solution to creatively solve a different type of problem. And now we know couldn't foxes either.
Absolutely. I think what's really worth remembering, though, is Teardrop still has this amazing capacity to learn. What he was able to do was to join the dots. With a straight line, he could work his way back to the food reward, but when we crossed it, he couldn't build on that learning. But still, a clever fox.
And great to watch, I have to say. Urban
yeah.
foxes, beautiful things.
Absolutely,
Beautiful things.
absolutely.
Fantastic.
So from urban foxes, we go to a rather more peculiar life form that can also make its home pretty much anywhere.
This time of year, a walk in the woods can open the door to another kingdom. A kingdom of organisms that surge up from the underworld. The kingdom of fungi, ruled by bizarre beings with a myriad of forms. Neither plant nor animal, the fungi branched out over 1.5 billion years ago on their own. And in terms of variety, they outnumber plants by at least 10 to 1 and can be found right across the planet. So how have fungi infiltrated our world so successfully? Their secret weapon is their spores. Microscopic and in their millions. The familiar parasol of a fungal fruiting body is actually an elevated launch pad, mushrooming up from the soil to release its spores onto the wind. Some fungi fire their spores vertically, whilst others, like earth stars, use raindrops to propel their progeny into the air. Stinkhorns attract flies that carry their spores away. And throughout autumn, spores seep and explode relentlessly in a constant search for new areas to colonize. As they land, the spores send out feeding tubes, hyphae, that ooze a cocktail of enzymes to rot and digest putrefying or... It's this web of hyphae, and not the mushrooms themselves, that form the mothership of the fungus, the mycelium, a living network under our feet. Concealed, it attaches itself to plant roots in an engulfing embrace, leaching out precious sugars. But in an unlikely alliance, the mycelium actually feeds the plant in return. Fungi trade nitrogen, phosphorus, and water that the plant needs for energy-rich sugar. This unique relationship is so important that 90% of our plants are utterly reliant on fungi for survival. By breaking down dead wood, cleaning the soil, and recycling nutrients via the most intimate relationship with living plants, fungi are vital to life on Earth. Warm, wet autumnal days are the best time to catch a glimpse of this otherly underworld, before the kingdom of the fungi retreats once more back into the earth, from where it came.
Fungi are vital to life on Earth, and yet a lot of people know so little about fungi. I think we need to start appreciating it. And so, in fact, this is a brilliant autumn to do just that, because it's an unusually long season for fungi. It started early, it's still going, so you can go out in the woods and really enjoy it. And in fact, many of you have, and you've sent us some photos. Let's have a look at them. Look at this one. This is from beefsteak, love the name. And that's a wonder... Oh, no, this is a beefsteak fungi from Wondermuddle. Wondermuddle is the great name. This is from James Emerson. And this is a parrot wax.
Look at those.
Look at the texture.
I know, they're wonderful. I've never seen those.
And this is fly agaric sent in by David Stevens. I mean, that's like your typical toadstool. You expect to have a little fairy sitting on the top of there, don't you? Fantastic. Get out, enjoy them, because they're absolutely brilliant.
And the Cotswold Fungus Group have collected this tray that we've got in front of us here, and there's a great diversity of form. Look at this one. This one's called turkey tail. It's a type of bracket fungus here. And this one is one of those fly agaric mushrooms. It's lost most of the spots off the top. They wash off in the rain, if I'm honest with you. And then lastly over here, we've got this one here, which is one of the cep species. It's gone past its best, and this is the one that's very popular for people to go out and pick to eat. We're slightly concerned about over-picking to eat. I think that if you pick for your own pot, it's fine. But if you're cleaning out entire woodlands to satisfy a restaurant trade and make yourself a few pennies, then maybe you should think twice, because it will have a negative impact on this fantastic group of organisms.
That may be fabulous looking, but this one is really interesting. This is a honey fungus. I know it doesn't look like much. You find them in the UK, but in Oregon in America, one was found where the mycelium, which you saw in the film, that goes underneath the earth from tree to tree and spread out 2.4 miles over an area of 3.7 square miles. And it's thought that that's the largest living organism on the planet. And they don't know, but they think it could be 8 1,000 years old. Isn't that incredible?
That is remarkable, isn't it?
I mean, it doesn't look much there, but that is really impressive in Oregon.
Extraordinary thing. And from one extraordinary thing to another. Not Martin Hughes Games, but the bats he's about to look for.
You're quite right, Chris. I am down here by the brook and we are trying to investigate bats. Now, my mission to investigate the wildlife of the Sherborne, the autumnal wildlife of Sherborne, now continues. As Chris said, we're batting. Now, I've got an extraordinary device here which is trying to pick up the calls. Oh, it even tells us. What was that? Dorbenton's. No, yes, Dorbenton's bat. It's picking up the calls of the bats behind me. It's even telling me what species they are. And we've had 3 species so far, Dorbenton's, we've had soprano pipistrelles and common pipistrelles. Another one, common pipistrelle. Amazing. So we're surrounded by bats, it turns out. Let's have a look on our thermal camera, see if we can see the bats. Some in the distance, again, flitting over the water, probably Dorbenton's, but lots and lots of different species here. Batting's very exciting. Now, of course, what we did after Springwatch, we managed to find a horseshoe, a lesser horseshoe bat maternity roost. Now, the thing is, there are about 17 different species of bats breeding in the UK. Believe it or not, 13 of them have been found down here in this area, including lesser horseshoe bats. Let's have a look inside a maternity roost of the lesser horseshoe bat. Now, you can see, there they are, quite a large group. Now, it's likely that these are all females. And if you look really closely, where their wings are kind of wrapped around their bodies, there are other little wings there. And that's because they've got babies. They're all carrying babies close to their bodies. Of course, they're mammals, so they'll be suckling those babies. Tiny little baby bats, always twitching all the time, aren't they? And a fascinating thing is that when the bats start to grow up a bit, they stretch their wings and practice to fly. But of course, they'll drop off if they did that too much. So mum holds on to them by their feet as they practice flapping their wings. And of course, the mother will have to go out and hunt for food, so she very carefully makes sure the baby is attached to something like that beam with those hooked feet, and she'll then go off and start hunting. Now, I'm told that the little babies don't echolocate, they have to learn it, but that one looks like it's echolocating. What a wonderful sight that is. So that was early on in the summer when they had the little tiny babies in the maternity roost, but we went back a little bit later on, a few weeks later, as the babies started to grow up. Now, it's got a lot more crowded in there, as you can see, obviously, because the babies are now almost indistinguishable from the adults. Now, this has speeded up this, but the question is, how does an individual get back into the pack? A bit like penguins, you know, and it will just ease its way in there, squeeze its way in to that snug, warm little group. Now, here's the thing. If you're a bat and you're upside down, how do you go to the lavatory? Okay, this bat wants to have a poo. It's moved very generously out of the crowd. It's a television first, folks. It's a lesser horseshoe bat pooing. The bat has a little preen now, feels very satisfied, but it still feels it needs to go to the lavatory a bit more. A wee-wee. How does it do it? It's out of the pack, and there it is. A lesser horseshoe bat weeing, almost live on telly. Brilliant stuff. Absolutely fascinating to go right inside the maternity roost. Roosts are interesting things for bats because they change around all the time. The roost that they'll stay in for the maternity roost will be completely different from the one that, say, they'll hibernate in later on in the year. So they constantly move about from one roost to another, and in fact, the mothers will teach the young will follow the mothers to suitable roosts, so they learn the ropes, they learn where to go when it starts to get cold and winter comes. So, those bats that were in the maternity roost, most of them will have gone from there now, but where are they now? I'm about a mile away from the main studio now, and this is an old limestone mine. I wonder, come on. Ooh, ow! It's pitch black in here, so we switched to infrared light. Although we're licensed to enter the mine, we want to keep the disturbance to an absolute minimum. Oh, yes!
horseshoe bats, like little hairy plums hanging on the ceiling. If there were females in here, I'd expect there to be a clump of them because they tend to stick together in family groups. These are on their own, so I suspect they're males and they're setting up a territory here. So that's what happens. The males set up a small little territory, the females will fly in and they will mate with one of the males, or actually more than one of the males. But here's the fascinating thing. What makes that male more attractive than that male? Nobody knows. It could be that they produce some sort of scent, or it could be that they fly in an exciting way, or even that they kind of sing a song that the females find attractive. But that's what I love about science. There's always more to find out.
So, we'd seen a few bats, but now it was time to listen into them as they began to wake up. Now this is absolutely fascinating. You can see this screen is changing all the time, and that's because we've got a microphone deep inside the cave here, and it's beginning to record the echolocation as the bats are starting to move around. It's getting darker now. The echolocation, you can see it happening. It's, oh, there it is, right up here. That's about 110 kilohertz for the lesser horseshoe bat. Now, oh, look at that down there. Now that is echolocation, but this flickering down here, that might be social calls. Because bats don't just use sound to echolocate, they also talk to each other. Fascinating. Now, what sorts of things might the bats be saying to each other? Now, I have to tell you, this is right in the vanguard of science. This is very actively being researched right now. And it's quite difficult. As I say, it's an active area, so we can't be really definitive. But with the help of Maggie Andrews and also Paul Howden-Leach, we think we can actually delve into the social world of bats. Now what we're going to do is we're going to play some recordings. They're slowed down 20 times, and you're going to see a sonogram. So that's a graphical representation of that sound. So first of all, we'll play the sound of a bat, just the regular echolocation as a baseline. Listen to this. Okay, so that's just the echolocation. That's not what we're listening for. We're listening for the social calls. Now, listen to this call. That was recorded in our maternity roost. We recorded that in the lesser horseshoe bat maternity roost, and it's called a bellow call. And Margaret told us that that's an annoyed bat. It's an angry, aggressive sound. It could be a female saying, "You're standing on my foot," or "I don't like you, you're too close to me," or "just clear off." The bellow sound is undoubtedly an aggressive social call. Now this next one, it's not a horseshoe bat, it's a natterer's bat, and this is a distress call. That's a distress call. Why would a bat emit a distress call? Well, sometimes it's to warn other bats there's potentially a predator around, or sometimes they'll get other bats to kind of cluster around and help them. They can kind of mob, like birds mob a bird of prey. But also, sadly, sometimes a bat might get into your cold water tank if they're roosting in the roof, and then they'll emit the distress call. Other bats will come to join them. They'll get stuck in there and they'll all die. So anyway, that's a distress call. Finally, we don't know what this call is, but we recorded it with our lesser horseshoe bats. Listen to this. Here it comes. What is that all about? It kind of sounds like whale song or something, but as I say, this is right in the front line of bat research, so probably in a few years we might be able to interpret that and we can talk bat back to bats. Fascinating stuff. Now, we're going to leave Sherborne now. We're going up to the wilds of Scotland to a beautiful but slightly unsettling film by cameraman Raymond Besson.
Fulmar is a bird I've had a long relationship with. Growing up in Orkney, it was the first wild animal that I learnt to approach and photograph. I would spend hours on the cliffs honing my filmmaking skills by trying to follow their graceful, stiff-winged flight. And as I did, I came to love these birds like no other. I love its Norse heritage. Fulmar means foul gull, due to their habit of spitting malodorous stomach oil when threatened. And although the gull part is misleading, as fulmars are actually cousins of albatrosses, their strong, musky odour is unmistakable on the breeze. But to me, they're still stunning birds, with their bizarre tubular nostrils primed to catch the scent of prey across the open seas. And they're faithful too. Paired birds are wedded to one another, touchingly reaffirming their bonds year after year. Some of these pairs have been together for almost as long as I've been coming to these cliffs. I love listening to their courtship vocalizations, a mixture of cackling and chuckling calls. I've watched them feeding on floating carrion, but they'll take fish, squid and zooplankton. Pretty much anything and everything is on their menu. They're real opportunists, and over the years they've fared well alongside fishing vessels, following them for scraps and earning the nickname the Flying Dustbins of the Ocean. And this opportunism means that each year Orkney's cliffs now play host to 90,000 pairs. But I've learnt of a new relationship with humans that has some serious side effects. Plastic pollution. Now and then, a dead fulmar turns up on the shore in Orkney. And over the past decade, I've been trying to find out more about what's killed my birds. My inquiries have led me to Dr. Jan van Franeker in the Netherlands, who uses fulmars as a barometer for the health of ocean ecosystems. Jan tells me 93% of fulmars in the North Sea have some form of plastic in their stomachs. Amazingly, they can survive with what is the human equivalent of a lunchbox full of plastic inside them. Larger pieces block their stomachs, leading to starvation, while chemicals leaching into their fatty tissues could also prove toxic. As well as some natural prey items like squid beaks, the final stomach analysis shows my bird has 3 plastic fragments, as well as polystyrene foam in her stomach. Staggeringly, the average North Sea fulmar has 30 such particles, making this a relatively clean bird. Although it turns out that my bird didn't die from plastic in her stomach, it's still shocking to know that it's normal to find so much man-made debris inside these wild ocean wanderers. Back home in Orkney, I try to clean my local beaches as much as I can. And whilst it can seem overwhelming with new plastic on each tide, I feel I have to try. It's relatively easy to clean up the larger pieces, but Jan told me that there is hope. The massive plastics found in fulmars now seems to be dropping. Public awareness about this global issue is far greater now than it has ever been. But there's still a lot you and I can do as individuals to take responsibility for the use of our own plastic. My hope is that these Orkney fulmars will one day be plastic-free. But for now, even small steps can help towards making their environment a cleaner place.
There is hope But the problem is still shockingly bad. I mean, there is absolutely no room for complacency. On average, a dead fulmar found in the North Sea has 30 pieces of plastic in its stomach, 0.31 grams. Now, if we scale that up to a human stomach, that's 31 grams of plastic, which is that much plastic. Imagine that in your stomach. I mean, we wouldn't stand a hope of surviving with all that. And that's average. The most found in a fulmar's stomach was 20 grams. And if you scale that up, that's 2 kilograms of plastic. I mean, imagine that, Chris. So as I say, no room for complacency. And remember, this stuff takes forever to break down.
And we're still making it. In fact, since we started producing plastic, we produced 8.3 billion metric tonnes of non-biodegradable plastic. And every year now, 8 million metric tonnes finds its way into the ocean. And it's not just into fulmars, it gets into albatrosses, kills the chicks before they even fledge, gets into whales and dolphins. Turtles too. They swim around the sea, they see a plastic bag, they think it's a jellyfish, they eat it, they accumulate over years and it kills them. But then, of course, as you saw in the film, the plastics actually break down into microplastics, and you can see how small these things are here. This is the head of a needle. Microplastics are pieces of plastic which are smaller than 5 millimeters. Clothing fabrics that are washed out to sea when we wash our clothes. Paint dust, tyre dust, microbeads, that broken down plastic all ends up there. And sadly, it can become part of a food chain. Dr. Richard Kirby has sent us this. This is a mass of plankton. In amongst it, you can see all of those red and blue fibres. Well, that is plastic amongst the plankton. Now, the plankton sometimes eat the plastic, which is potentially fatal. Even if they pass it through, it's a waste of energy because they're not getting any sustenance from it, quite obviously. But even more insidiously, sometimes plastics in the sea attract toxic chemicals which stick to the plastic, then get ingested, and then build up in the body of the planktonic animals. And you can see here that copepods tangled up in it. If they're not physically eating it, they're disabled by it. And here's a very small fish eating a tiny piece of plastic. And of course, this is the bottom of the food chain, and we know, therefore, that the plastic works its way up the food chain. A couple of other staggering stats to leave you with. Every day when humpback whales are feeding on plankton, they can ingest 300,000 pieces of microplastic. And if we eat fish ourselves, during the course of the year, we humans, because again, we're at the top of the food chain, can ingest 11,000 pieces of microplastic. And so far, there is no evidence at all, there's no scientific work been done to understand what impact this has on human health. 11,000 pieces of plastic.
Shocking statistics. So what can we do? Well, I think we've already started to change our habits. I mean, since the 5p thing was introduced on throwaway plastic bags in supermarkets, we've dramatically reduced the amount of plastic bags that we're taking by 83%. That's since 2014, which is great. This year, the government have declared that they're planning to ban rinse-off microplastics in cosmetics. So that's basically those facial scrubs. All that is really positive, but we can do so much more. We've got to reduce the amount of single-use plastic that we consume. Things like plastic bottles, you know, those things that you clean your ears with. These are dreadful, these plastic straws. I see so many of them on the beach. Go and do a beach cleanup. These are all things you can do. They're all ideas on our website. Go to our website. It's very simple. You go along, you click on the bit above, which is Help Our Oceans, and there are lots of ideas, positive, practical ideas.
And whilst we're on oceans, we've got to remind you that coming up on Sunday, BBC One, 8 o'clock in the evening, it's Blue Planet 2. Probably worth a watch. I don't know.
This is worth a watch, Chris. This is definitely worth a watch. Get your popcorn ready, because this is the conclusion of yesterday's Top Bird, starring Chris Pack and Martin Hughes games, A Swan and a Goose.
First up in our speed test was Maisie the Goose, who took 1 minute 36 seconds to fly 1 mile of runway.
Look at that! Keep going, Maisie! Good girl!
Now it's time for Eartha the Swan. Will she fly faster to stay in the competition for Top Bird?
Come on!
What a magnificent sight. I love the sense of rhythm. And the head is held gyroscopically so still in the air.
It's a very powerful bird. I am slightly nervous, I must confess.
Very obviously, I've never been this close to a flying bird. Just think of all the physiology going on inside that bird. Its lungs, its air sacs, all of those muscles, the beautiful rotation of the wings, which are so evident here.
Taking their time. 40 seconds. They're not going to make it here in a minute.
Come on, Swan. Come on. Oh, yes.
This is going to be tight.
Finishing line is in sight. Come on.
1:46, only 10 seconds difference in it. Anyway, Chris will have to eat his hat now.
Yes, it's difficult to read his face at this point. Slightly smug. Oh, very smug. It's getting smugger. In fact, his face is getting so smug, I'm going to have to put my goggles on to try and filter out some of the smugness
Mate, I
on
want
your
you to
face.
imagine there's a plate there, and on it a lovely wobbly slice of humble pie, and it's ready for you to eat.
Oh, really?
It's 2-0 to the Goose, but only just 1:46.
1:46.
Which surprises me, doesn't it you? Only 10 seconds difference, such a heavy bird.
10 seconds
10
over that
seconds,
distance
yeah,
is marginal, isn't it, really?
It is, yeah.
But it's such a great thing to see.
Because normally they're up there in your bins, not right beside you. It's a magical
You get a real sense of sort of migrating with them. I almost felt like it's Wingman, you know, I was there.
Wingman?
Yeah.
I see what you've done then, mate.
The third and final test, agility. The bird that sticks closest to the car as it weaves down the runway wins.
Come on then.
Yeah, she's up for it. I'm up for it, she said. I'm up for it. Effortless. Turning. Easy.
This is going to be hard to beat, mate.
I think it will be a little bit. She's got...
following the line of the car perfectly, isn't she?
An impressive run from Maisie. Now it's time for Eartha to weave her magic.
Pretty good.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. I'm amazed. She can turn surprisingly well. Here we go.
There's a bit of a lag, though, mate.
There's a lag. There is a lag.
There's a bit of understeer on the Swan.
And she comes right over as well.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, look. Definitely a bit of a lag. No, overshot that corner completely. I mean, that was straight into the Armco, wasn't it, frankly?
That was a lag.
Still
magnificent, but a lag.
Yes, yes. Here we are. One last turn.
One last turn.
Come on, Eartha. Come on.
Come on, Eartha. You can do it.
Begrudgingly, it looks like Martinsbird has won this test as well.
Mate, I've got to confess, I'm not a good loser at all. I'm a very, very bad loser. But it doesn't matter. It was so enjoyable, wasn't it?
It was. It was fantastic. Just being in the vehicle with that birds right next door, the power of their wings, hitting you on the face with the... Oh,
I love the synergy of the movement and the rhythm that they had.
Yeah, it made me exhausted just watching it, mate. It was fabulous. However, I have to say that as it was 50p per test, you owe me £1.50.
£1.50.
£1.50, yeah.
Take a check.
Yeah, or a postal order, mate.
Postal order. So, the top bird trophy goes to the Goose. But there's no denying that both these birds excel on their mammoth migration.
Can you imagine, mate, a flying fortress or a Lancaster come screaming down over our heads and land down there with a puff of smoke?
Do you know what, mate?
What?
That would take my breath away.
Brilliant, love it.
I won, mate.
You won,
Sorry,
yes.
I won.
Well, I intend to pay my debt, and I intend to pay you in harvest mice.
What?
Yes, well, 2 pence pieces, mate.
Okay.
Yes, here we are. So there's £1.50 worth of two-pence
I'm not
pieces.
sure-
But before I give it to you, I've got to tell you that you know those super swans, they do fly at 8,000 metres in temperatures of minus 40 degrees.
Impressive, but that wasn't the test, mate. You can't get out of it like that.
Oh, and the other thing is that when they leave Iceland, it only takes them 12 hours to get to the UK, whereas it takes you geese 15
not
hours.
tested.
Except you're a loser.
Come on, give me the money.
Loser.
Mate, I'm going
Okay,
straight down to the local
moving
pier.
on. Let's just see what viewers have sent in. Let's take a look at this. Have you seen this? Look at this. There's a heron and a weasel. Guess what happens next?
Oh, look
Heron
at
eats
that.
it?
No,
it
it gets away. It gets away.
Did it? Amazing.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Let's have a look at another fantastic picture that somebody set in. Look at this. This is fallow
Unbelievable.
deer, stags rotting. How does it get it in the air like that?
That's unbelievable.
Absolutely extraordinary. Thanks so much
That's
to
amazing.
everybody for sending in such amazing pictures. Really great. Thank you for getting involved. We really appreciate it.
Oh, that's about all we've got time for. So, to keep the spicy theme that we started with, it's time for us to stop right now and thank you very much.
We've got to thank the National Trust Sherborne Park Estate very much indeed, the farmers that have let us come here and have helped us, and to the good people of Sherborne who we've driven through their village and made life interesting for them.
We're back in at the end of January for Winter Watch, but in the meantime, stay in touch online, the website and social media.
We've had a great time. We hope you have too. We're going to leave you with the highlights of Autumn Watch 2017. We'll be back for Winter Watch. We'll see you then. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
What are you doing? I've lost my pipe. Welcome to Autumn Watch 2017.
Open your eyes and be ready to be amazed.
It will literally take your breath away.
I want to see him twerking round that.
It's not twerking, is it? Twanging!
This is so exciting.
Look at this! Amazing! Good girl, Maisie!
Very obviously, I've never been this close to a flying bird.
But there's only one word for the harvest mouse, isn't there? I know you hate it, but it's cute.
Yes, I do hate it, McKenna. In fact, I'm introducing a C-word ban.
It is incredible to see them all together like this.
The hedgehog's digging in. It's like a rugby scrum.